We're here at the American Promise Conference in Washington, and I'm going to talk to some of the Parkland students here who came because they realize the importance of money in politics and how much of an effect that has on the issue of gun control.
My name is Angelina LAZO, and I was a senior when it happened. And what I'm doing now is just trying to spread awareness about money in politics and gun reform and how they both go hand in hand.
My name is DAMIANI. I was a senior when it happened, and I'm going to pursue this in my career, try to spread the word and get awareness about it.
My name is DEMITRI HOTH. I was in 12th grade, a senior, when the shooting happened at my school, and I'm here to, as Angelina said, spread awareness and to make sure that the American people know the effects that money has in our politics, to make sure that we can do something about it, to make sure that the next generation of people don't suffer through the same things that we went through.
So, Dimitri, can you tell us a little bit about your group that you started?
Yeah, so I have a nonprofit organization called Students Speak Up. I started it with a friend and a former teacher of mine. We basically aim to promote civic engagement in youth, teaching youth about their civic responsibilities and voting, and teaching them about the problems in their communities and empowering them to vote based on those, because we believe that if children are passionate about a cause in their local community, that will encourage them to vote not only locally but also in national elections as well.
So before we get into what we can do to actually fix this enormous problem in the country, I want to talk to you guys about the day of the shooting, because I almost never see that. Angelina, why don't you start?
Well, I was in my AP government class at the time, and it's on the opposite side of campus, so we didn't hear any gunshots or anything. We just heard the fire alarm go off. And so we went outside like we normally do a fire drill, and we waited. But then we saw just kids and teachers running towards us, telling us to run. We didn't know what was going on until we got to the neighboring middle school. And then people were saying that it was a school shooting, but sometimes you don't know whether to believe it or not. But then my mom called me saying that there's an active shooter, and it didn't really hit me till I went home hours later when I found out who the shooter was and that there was some of my friends who were actually missing who ended up being victims. So it was a really hard day, but most of the time I didn't even know what was going on or what to believe. So
when did you know, oh my God, what did any of my friends get affected, and when did you find out that they had? And just tell me about that a little bit.
I mean, the whole night, I probably got only 2 hours of sleep that night. I was watching the news to see who the victims were or if anyone I knew. But then on social media, I saw one of my friends, Joaquin, he went missing. And then the next morning was when we found out he was one of the victims. So it was really hard. But then that day, I saw a group of protesters outside just protesting for safety in schools and things like that. And so that's when I started, was the next day.
Got you. How about you, Noah?
Okay, so I left early that day because I do dual enrollment. I was actually sitting down eating food, and then I got text from my sister, and she was like blowing up my phone in a family group chat, and I saw the word shots and shooting, and I like immediately I was taken aback, and then I didn't really know if it was true, and even if it was true, I didn't know that it was like a mass shooting type of an event. But when I ended up finding out that it was when I saw it on CNN and when I saw it on Twitter, all over Twitter. She didn't get home until like 7 p.m. that day. She then told me that she heard the gunshots, and she was barricaded in a media center for a couple of hours. And we found out that night that one of my mom's close friends, her stepson was one of the ones who passed away. So they were up until like 1 a.m. trying to find out where he was until they finally got the news.
Okay, Dimitri, how about you?
So I was actually very close to the 1200 building. I was in the 700 building in my math class, and we heard the fire alarm go off, and so we kind of all left. And we were going towards the freshman building because that's our evacuation route. We go to the senior lot. And as we were leaving, I guess everyone heard the gunshots around me, so everyone started screaming. I didn't hear them because everyone was just screaming so loudly, and you had the security team on the bottom of the staircase, because I was on the second floor, where I was in the stairwell going to the first floor, and they were all screaming to not go downstairs and to go back up. And so I ran back up, ran all the way across campus to the 200 building, and my English teacher. And I stayed there till we were evacuated. We were like the last group of people to be evacuated because they started from the freshman building all the way back. And I didn't get home till like 6 o'clock at night. And, you know, I just remember getting Snapchat videos on my phone from people that were inside the building. And, you know, like to this day, I can remember like the sounds of the gunshots inside of the freshman building, inside of the chem building. And, you know, I have friends that were in the freshman building that were on the 3rd story, the 2nd story, and even the 1st story. One of my really, really close friends, he was in one of the classrooms where a lot of people passed away. And it's something that he'll have to live with for the rest of his life. But at the same time, it's so irresponsible to think that someone has to live with that just because of the inaction of our politicians. And it's happened so many other times, but still nothing has happened. So, you know, I'm, you know, just kind of here right now to see like why isn't anything happening.
So that brings me to asking you guys why here? Why come to Washington? Why come to this conference? What do you guys want to accomplish?
Basically, I think that the inaction of our politicians is a direct result of the money in politics. I mean, the NRA has a chokehold on our politicians. I think that this is an overbearing issue, and I think that if we can get the money out of politics, then the population, the people of the United States, will have more of a voice. And I think that we've made that voice clear. I mean, not all of us agree on the solutions, but I think that if 90-something% of people believe that we should have universal background checks, I think that's something our politicians should definitely be trying to accomplish. So,
as Noah was saying, the influence that money has in our government is absolutely ridiculous. And I also believe that we're all here to spread awareness. And you know, as we can see from past revolutions in America, whether it was the Civil Rights Revolution, that was largely led by the university students, the African American university students, or the Vietnam War, the university students protesting that. And now you have university and high school students protesting gun reform. So it all starts with the students. And so what we're trying to do is not only have the students, because we have all their backs and they have our backs, but it's also to bring in the people who actually have the ability to change something, which is the people that can vote, which are the working class, the people who are 18 and older. And that's why we're here today, to spread awareness, to make sure that they know the effects that the inaction of our politicians have and the effects that the corporations have on our politicians. And that, you know, a long time ago, the Supreme Court overturned Citizens United, and that's what we're here today, is to overturn that, to make sure that the $1 doesn't equal one vote, but rather one vote equals one vote.
Right, and this is the National Citizen Leadership Conference that American Promise puts together, and so this has brought together all the groups that are looking to get money out of politics and get a 28th Amendment to basically go over the head of Citizens United decision that the Supreme Court made. So how about Monday? I hear you guys have a meeting on Monday?
It's being called Lobby Day, and we're going to be meeting with politicians. I know that they're delivering something, a resolution from the state of New Mexico. They resolved to basically saying that they would support and ratify the 28th Amendment. So that's what we're going to be delivering, and then we're going to also speak to politicians, basically just show that they have the public support to pass the 28th Amendment, and it's something that they should get on doing.
I'm excited, actually, to speak to politicians and for them to hear what we have to say, especially being survivors of gun violence. I mean, I'm all for gun reform, and I mean, we elect politicians for the sole purpose of representing we the people, but how can they do their job if they're worried about money? And that's what the 28th Amendment is for. And money in politics and gun reform and even other issues just go hand in hand. With the 28th Amendment, it can make other issues easier to vote on.
All right, Angelina, Noah, Demitri, thank you for your courage, and thank you for organizing in the ways that you guys have to try to actually do something about this tragedy. So, thank you.